event this weekend at UFC 292. We have the strawweight title on the line. It's Magnum Zhang Weili taking on Amanda Lemos. And out of 36 total wins combined between these two ladies, 30 total finishes. They know how to get it done in impressive fashion. For Amanda Lemos, her last time out, finished a top contender in Maryna Rodrigues, and it was an amazing finish as that fight went on. For Zhang Weili, first round, defending some of those takedowns from Carla Esparza, making her really uncomfortable on the feet, and in the second round, she was able to get it done by finish. So for Zhang Weili, second time as champ in this division, 2020 fight of the year against Joanna Jędrzejczyk. She's fought a who's who in her 9 fights in the UFC, and that's the crazy thing about both these women. They've only had 9 fights each in the UFC. They're both 7-2 in the UFC, but one of them I consider a future Hall of Famer, and one of them is not even on the fringes of that just yet. Now, it could become the truth when this fight comes up this weekend, and how apropos to say the truth, because this fight is in Boston, and I doubt Paul Pierce will be there. But when you look at a fight like this, Matt, this is not a clash of styles. These two match up really well together.
They do match up really well together, but this is a carbon copy of another women's title fight that we had not that long ago. It was a few years now. This is exactly like Amanda Nunes versus Jermaine Durandamy Part 2. Because, what is Amanda Lemos great at? She's a phenomenal striker who can knock out anybody in this division. Like, her striking is as pure and as powerful as arguably anybody we've ever seen. Now, yes, Joanna throws better variety, she has better elbows and whatnot, but again, if Lemos lands on you, there's a chance you just don't make it out of the round. Whereas Weili, like you say, they do match up well, because Weili is a very talented striker in her own right, but Weili does have those other parts to her game that we don't often see in all of her fights, but she has at least shown us enough of her offensive grappling, her defensive grappling, her ability to go for submissions on the mat as well and implement her own ground and pound to where Weili can probably strike with Amanda Lemos and be okay. But if she takes it to the mat, it's going to make her path to victory so much easier. But again, I bring up that GDR versus Nunes fight because when Nunes was on the feet with Jermaine Durandamy, even though Amanda Nunes is the much better fighter in the whole grand scheme of things, she was still having difficulties in some of those ranges of her opponent's wheelhouse. And I can see this fight following a very similar script because of how talented Lemos is on the feet. And I think her power is something that differentiates a lot of Weili's past opponents from Amanda Lemos. Because yes, Rose was able to knock her out with a head kick, but Rose isn't the most heavy-handed. She's just very smart, very crafty, and going to make you zig when you should zag. Whereas if Amanda Lemos is able to land 1 or 2 shots, be it lucky or set up, it could completely change the complexion of the fight.
Well, and I can already hear people out there grumbling in their car, on the plane, listening at home on the couch. They're going, wow, Amanda Lemos, didn't she just get finished by Jessica Andrade? She did get finished in that fight. That was back in April of 2022. But since then, she had the performance bonus, the second round submission win over Waterson Gomez, and then she also had the Maryna Rodrigues.
The Waterson Gomez fight was messed up to put together.
Knockout win as well. Yeah, it was a get back on the horse type of fight if we've ever seen one. And I think Zhang Weili would have probably done the same, if not worse. But when it does come down to a matchup like this for Amanda Lemos, she comes into the UFC at bantamweight against Leslie Smith, has a wild fight of the night where she gets finished in that one, and then takes a lot of time off and fights Miranda Granger, and then continues the move through. She beats Mizuki in a way. Mizuki, where's she been since that fight? We don't know. She also had that finish win over Montserrat Conejo, where we went, hey, Montserrat, where'd she go? Apparently to lose a fight against Jacqueline Amram fairly handily. But for Lemos, we'll see how it goes in this one. She has a really good variety of strikes, and she is really tricky for a lot of these women to figure out. But if you get past the initial storm of Lemos, we saw that in her fight against Angela Hill. Drops her in the first round, goes in for the finish, loses the second round, loses the third round. Still gets the win in that one, because first round being a 10-8, but the cardio, it can get tested.
I like that a little bit, though. Like, Yair Rodriguez is better than Jeremy Stevens, but he also had a really difficult end to the second fight, I guess, because the first one ended so quick, because he dropped him with a body kick, went for a ton of ground and pound. So, for Lemos, I know you bring up that Hill fight a lot, but still, Lemos showed the skills in that says, hey, if she lands clean on anybody, the fight could be over just like that. And for Weili, that has been not a criticism in her game, but sometimes she will find herself waiting on the outside and not using her volume to the fullest of potential, because when Weili is at her best, you're thinking about the boxing, you're thinking about the takedown entries. She can throw kicks very well too, but it really does come down to, is she the one leading the dance or not? Because when Rose was able to really set her up for that head kick, it wasn't the fact that Rose hits as hard as Amanda Lemos. I can assure you, if they did one of those punching machine things, Amanda Lemos is probably going to have a much higher number. It's probably the least scientific thing I've ever used to describe a fight, but Lemos, I don't think, can set her strikes up to the degree that someone like Rose can. Rose Namajunas is more like a Chris Paul, to where Amanda Lemos is like a Darren Williams, you know? More athletic.
Owning Fortis MMA, kind of. But when you look at Zhang Weili in this one, and in her overall career arc in the UFC, training out of her native China, becomes a champion, ends up training at Fight Ready down in Arizona. It's the champ camp. Henry Cejudo, you get Davison Figueiredo, the championship whisperer. She loses her belt. She beats Joanna in the second fight, and then Zhang Weili goes down to Thailand, and she's been there training with the Hickman brothers at Bangtao Muay Thai, and for this one, looks like she's kind of moved things to the States just before the fight, training out a syndicate with John Wood, so I anticipate to see maybe John Wood, Frank Hickman, George Hickman in her corner when she makes it down to Boston. But when you look at a fight like this, Zhang Weili was almost a 4-1 favorite when she took on Carla Esparza for the belt in that matchup. She's a favorite in this one as well. You have a look at the Topology votes, Matt. Surprised us they are to you in this fight, but I'm going to say over under 80% Zhang Weili to retain the belt.
I think it'll be over.
I think it is over. Oh my 1,014.
See, I disagree with it, even though I say it's over, for the reason that I said. On the feet, Lemos is as good of a fighter as Weili has ever fought. So if Weili can't get her down to the mat, we could very well see Lemos stay on the back foot, land power shots, and not throw a crazy volume that tires her out.
1,014 total votes, 93% Zhang Weili, 58% by knockout, 18% by submission. For the 7% that have Lemos, 76% by knockout. So definite finishing abilities. At strawweight, 30 combined finishes and 36 total wins in this one. But who do you have to get the win here?
I do have Weili, but there's a reason I keep on bringing up the GDR versus Nunes fight. That fight was another situation where the champion is a big favorite and everybody expects her to win. That fight was way closer than it should have been, just because when you do what your opponent's specialty is, it makes you go to plan B and plan C. And luckily for Weili, she does have those areas of her game. She is that well-rounded, but again, it's going to force her to really show all of her game plan to go out there and win this fight, but I do still have Weili.
I think Weili can get it done. Again, you brought it up. It'll be interesting to see if she's able to give it the pitter-patter on the outside like a Letterkenny. And if you look at Zhang Weili, I think that X factor is the fact that she could go with the offensive grappling in this matchup. We'll see how the Meerschaert brothers put together game plan for Amanda Lemos in this matchup. But for both of us, we're going with Magnum Zhang Weili to retain the belt, keep it going, and get us set for a big-time main event. The bantamweight strap is on the line. Aljamain Sterling taking on Sean O'Malley, a fresh matchup there. You're not going to want to miss any of it. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. We always say, let's get into it.